Good morning. This is our beginner class. We call it Fast Track. Good to have everybody. We've got 10:30. We'll be looking at void replacements. We'll look at actual void replacements and survival kit, some members class, but we'll also do a worksheet, go through a worksheet and replace some things that might be triggering you. Not, well, your emotions are triggering you, but things that after you're triggered, you go to like ice cream or whatever. We'll look at that. At 12 o'clock, we have our partner session. First class is always free. We need our partners. Please consider becoming one if you want to know what that's more about. Show up at 12 today. We've been looking, it'll be the third lesson. It's really a fellowship meeting right now. We do courses in there, but we're also doing fellowship, and we're talking about the subject matter of all thoughts are all lies all of the time. I'm going to go ahead and hey, William, I'm going to get this going here, get it on the website. Bear with me. Lisa, that should get you up and running.
We're good. We're good.
All right, I think we got it going. So my name's Travis Martin. I've lost more than 100 pounds with this program. And that's an old story that doesn't even need to be unpacked, because since then, we've seen tens of thousands of others lose and record millions of pounds lost, come off of untold prescription medications, all with a program where everything that you need comes from your local grocery store. I want you to consider that right now. In front of me, I have gotten, if you're new here, I've gotten, I'm no longer on prescription drugs, but I've got in front of me supplements. I've got Carbees Plus, I've got berberine, I've got Nutritherm, I've got Luminex, I got Unforgettables. I got all these things here. And I really think they help, but I don't need them. You don't need anything but a local grocery store to do Shibboleth, and you can achieve amazing results. It certainly doesn't going to feel that way, but it doesn't matter how it feels. That's biologically how it works in your body. You just don't need, we've been lied to, we've been preyed upon. Certainly there are things that can help you move faster, can help the journey be a little more doable in the appetite control and things like that. But you really only need a local grocery store, and you need to know how to combine whole foods. And then after that, learning how to replace voids, everything from chips and ice cream. And what we're trying to accomplish, this is lesson 2, by the way. Let me do that real quick. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me jump in here and show all of our new folks, if we have any new folks. Anybody new here? This is your first week or second week. If you're in your second or third week, you're still new, as far as I'm concerned. So we want to go into our dashboard. Go into the dashboard. Go into the Fast Track tab. That's where our beginners start. There's 7 laps I need you to go through. That teaches you website navigation. If you're not going to become a member, then have a notepad ready. You will learn this program by osmosis with our support, with my support, the support of the members. You'll learn it by osmosis if you'll come a couple of weeks and just have a willing and wanting heart. And then if you become a member, you've got this, we start here and we go through the laps, and we want to get you to watch these fast track videos. These are short videos. Here's your resource material, your combination chart, anything that we could think of that you might need to get yourself started, depending on how you learn best or whatnot. There's even a digital book. If you don't like videos, there's a digital book. So you've got all of these different videos that takes less than 2.5 hours to get through. And that's if you're going slow and paying attention and taking notes. When you get through, you'll take the test. See this test? Take the test, pass the test, and earn the badge. What I'm doing in here is supplemental to those fast track videos. Those fast track videos have been saving lives. The information contained in there, the Lord has been using to save lives for 20 years. So make sure that you do that. And then these classes, these sessions, you won't leave feeling as lost and confused. At any time that you leave one of these sessions and you don't know what to do, don't know what to eat, and you're serious, please let Lisa know. We'll get you a meal plan. We'll do whatever we can do to get you on the right track. Because if you will spend some time getting the proper view of this and do your best for a few days, you'll discover that losing weight is easy. If it's so easy, then why aren't more people doing it? Because it's easy not to. That's it. I still eat the same things that I always ate. I just eat a little different. I might, instead of using Sunbeam bread, I use Joseph's high fiber pita bread. So, I've just changed out some things. And this week is all about sharing with you the philosophy, the concept of the program. We talked yesterday about your why. We all know that. We're all grown people. We know that life gets in the way and nobody's yelling at us and loving us enough to make sure that we take care of ourselves. It's going to have to be between us and the Lord. The Bible says to love God with our whole heart, love our neighbor as we love ourselves. So we got to love ourselves to even have the capacity to love others. So it starts there, coming up with a reason. What is your reason for doing this? And if you're having a hard time coming up with a reason, it goes back to what we talked about yesterday, the three of you not agreeing. If you're struggling with that, it might be time to go through the values worksheet. What do you value? I bet you discover that you don't value food as compared to your faith, your family, your health. You don't at all. You would not, if it was your decision, if it had ever been your decision to gain weight, then why, if you found yourself here, why in the world would we have chosen to do that when none of us here hold the values of, I prefer a chimichanga over my grandkids? Nobody here feels that way. Nobody. And I do believe in personality. But at the same time, if you're connected to the feelings of, I'm a glutton or I don't have any discipline, you don't realize that's coming from those thoughts that are not your own thoughts. Detached from those thoughts, that's not who you are. It's not who you've ever been. And now that you can see clearly, how do we get rid of all the bad decisions, the bad behavior as it relates to food? Seeing it clearly for what it is, seeing that was never me. I never set out to do that. I got caught up in instant gratification. I got caught up in my feelings. So let me go through my values. What do I really value in life, whether you're an individual or a business or whatever? From time to time, you've got to step back and prune things, or it won't grow again. You'll never get to where you want to go. So if you're struggling with what's my why, and food has become that big of a thing for you, like it's all you think about, and all you think about, you eat what you want, when you want, you can't stop yourself. Come back home. Come back to your values. You value your faith. You value your spouse. You value your children. Come back to that, and then you can establish a really big, strong why. If your why is greater than temptation, you'll have success. If you weren't here yesterday, make sure from Lisa that you get yesterday's lesson so you can find my Vision for My Life worksheet and the vision tracker. I have to go through that at least monthly. But the challenge is I love doing it. I mean, what's more fun? A lot of people say, I just don't like doing that stuff. I don't like journaling. I don't like doing that. Oh, we got to snap out of it. I mean, what is life if we don't enjoy working on ourselves and finding success, feeling better about ourselves, feeling good about God? What is life about? Is it not more than food? Is it not more than raiment? My friend Joy just went on a cruise, and I'm sure it was fabulous, amazing. But I guarantee you, if she was on that cruise every single day for the rest of her life, she'd say, "Get me off this thing." Life is about more.
Kids need to be taught not to bully, not to disrespect kids that are different.
Life is about a lot more than food. So please watch that lesson yesterday and see if we can't get you to working those things out in a worksheet if you're struggling with the wherewithal to do the program. We started talking about the lifestyle itself. So we have to have perfect days. The reason we're trying to have perfect days is we've got to, yes, control calories, but the elephant in the room that very few talk about, and then if these programs do, they vacate it pretty quick, is insulin. So we call insulin the fat bus. So when I started started the program to lose weight after a bad doctor's report, the first thing I started looking at was how food broke down in my body. The whiter the bread, the quicker you're dead. And I would take either a grilled cheese sandwich to work or have it in the morning, or a peanut butter sandwich to work. And I started looking at white bread is elevating my blood sugar. And 2 slices of white bread can metabolize like 30 teaspoons of sugar. If it's not fortified with any protein or fiber, you're going to jack those blood sugar levels through the roof. Then your pancreas, or either if you're diabetic, you've got to take insulin. Your pancreas is going to dispatch that hormone called insulin that we call the fat bus. The fat bus is as the fat bus does. We do a really super class, it's not a super class, but a good explanation of how, yes, blood sugar goes up, insulin brings it down readily, but the insulin doesn't come down fast. It tapers off. So if every time it starts tapering, we just do a little something wrong and bump it back up, we're always maintaining high enough levels of that we can't ever efficiently burn fat. A good little fun formula to think about is, number one, if you want to lose body fat slow, just be in a calorie deficit. That'll take care of it. You don't need any of these combinations. You don't need any of that. You won't be as healthy as you would be otherwise. If you want to lose body fat healthfully, fast, efficiently, and promote longevity, then you want to be in a calorie deficit and you want to control the fat bus. If you do those 2 things, boom, you've got a winner there. Now, same thing for gaining. Reverse engineer that. If you want to gain weight slow, then have a calorie surplus, but still control insulin. So even when you are having holidays here, if you're having your holidays and it's approved food, our members who've done this will tell you you'll gain the weight back, but you'll gain it back slower. If you want to gain body fat fast, be in a calorie surplus and spiking insulin. Go to Red Lobster 2 or 3 nights a week and have all that grub and Cheddar Bay biscuits, and you'll see fast fat gain. So that's everything that we're teaching is focused around calorie management, but insulin control, no matter what you eat. So insulin is the fat bus. There's 3 things that take place when the fat bus comes. Who knows what those are? There's more than this that happens, by the way. It destroys your mitochondria. There's a lot more that happen. But for our purpose today, what happens? I've seen Joy doing this. Appetite goes up. So appetite goes up. If you're like, it's so hard. I'm starving to death. You're not starving to death. Get naked, jump up and down in front of the mirror. If there's too much jiggling and itching, you ain't starving. But you feel like you are because that hormone is signaling, it turns on your appetite. So yes, Joy, your appetite goes through the roof. You can't hardly help it. No wonder what's that commercial? I bet you can't eat just one. Is that Lay's or something? But you can't just eat one. You can't stop because that hormone is a messenger, and that messenger is signaling the hungry monster. And you're going to want to eat the house down. That's why when you go have white rice at a Japanese steakhouse or something, Chinese food, how long before you're hungry again? You get stuffed, and 30 minutes later, you hungry for more. Appetite goes through the roof. Then you've got fat storage. So if I have steak and a piece of Texas toast, that's fat storage. But not only at that meal, but the preceding meals, because the insulin tapers off and it takes it time to taper down enough. So yes, fat storage is taking place. That's why after a holiday, it takes at least 2 days for us to be certain that you're back in efficient fat burning mode. Then you've got efficient fat burning stops. Food is when it breaks down into chemicals. It's a chemical conversation. And when you have high levels of insulin, the conversation is, we don't need to be burning fuel right now. We're going into a building phase. We're going into maybe a muscle building phase. Like bodybuilders inject themselves with insulin because they want to grow. They're eating differently than I ate when I was eating biscuits and gravy and Martin's biscuits and all that kind of stuff. So it's a little different. I'm injecting insulin, but not eating right and exercising. So we got to be careful because we're telling our body we're going in a growth pattern. We're wanting to grow. I don't think our bodies were ever meant to handle good gracious, the tens of maybe hundreds of thousands of processed food items that we put into our diets daily. And we've got these high levels of insulin going through our bloodstream all the time. So when we have a holiday, we treat it like it takes at least 2 days to get back into EFB. Now, every time you have a holiday, you may throw your hands up there. You're not going to be perfect all the time. That's why I love our system. So we have the perfect day holiday. So you've got perfect days, holidays, there's no in between. Some of the members have come up with their own term because they want an in between, and I even use it. They call it the holla meal. But when I started, I had hog trough days. I shouldn't have, but it's just how our psychology works. We don't want to think that licking the cheese dust off of Doritos should be a holiday. We don't want to think that getting in the freezer and pulling out some Moose Track ice cream, just eating a tablespoon after we've done everything right that day should count against us. Holidays are not against you. It's just a type of day. You're labeling it so you know. You know that you've gotten off the beaten path a little bit, whether it's a holla meal or a holiday or a hog trough day. You get 6 of those a month when you're in the weight loss phase. Now, I don't know about you, but that feels like grace to me. If I were dealing with the problem of abusing alcohol as a coping mechanism, to get over that, I wouldn't be able to go back to alcohol, would I? I wouldn't be able to go back to it 6 times a month. I'd be off the wagon and in trouble. But with food, probably the same thing here. But to know that I can have 6, it's not going to kill me. It wasn't my holidays. It wasn't my hog trough days getting me in trouble. It was those lukewarm days. Most of the terminology in the program is inspired by biblical terminology. And I'm not saying it's a biblical program. You have to determine if it's that for you. It is for me. But I wish thou were cold or hot, but thou art lukewarm. I had a willy-nilly way of living my life. I pretty much didn't think about it. I was an unaware eater, and it caused me to be over 300 pounds, all those prescriptions, no self-confidence. It still affects me today. I don't know if y'all have that, but it still affects me emotionally from a confidence and a self-esteem level, even to this day. So it's just, food is not something to be played with. We need to quit playing with our food and use it as sustenance. And there needs to be more to life than just eating, just food and the pleasure of food. Food is not a solution as a coping mechanism of any type. It is sustenance. And I'm thankful that I enjoy food, but I can take it or leave it now. And you've got somehow get across that gulf. You know, the Bible talks about the rich man and Lazarus, Lazarus, and a great gulf was between them. And they couldn't get across the gulf. The rich man he wanted on the other side, but he couldn't get there. There's a great gulf. The only way you're going to get across that gulf is to give this to the Lord. I'm telling you, the reason the obesity epidemic is on the rise, there's never been more programs, never been more tools, never been more medications. It's because we're not coming back to the Father. And it's a difficult thing for the ego to repent, but it's the most beautiful thing. You need the help of God with this. So we've got 6 holidays if we're trying to lose weight. Then maintenance, when we get into what we call ideal weight range or maintenance, look at this. You get 12 holidays a month. And as long as all your other days are really perfect, you're never going to miss a beat. 2 perfect days, you're now in EFB. You have that Friday night meal or holiday. That's just one of your days. Once you reach your goal, all these days of grace, wow. That still blows my mind that I can have all these days of grace. And then when I finally get to where I want to go, you can live Monday through Thursday on, Friday through Sunday off. Then as soon as you inch up over 6 months and you put on 10 pounds living that way, then you just drop it off. It's a lot easier to lose 10 than it is to lose 100. So that's the basic philosophy of what we're trying to accomplish. How do we have these perfect days? We'll close out this lesson 2 with this, and all this is in Fast Track. So how do we have the perfect days? How can we be sure? And I'm strict, right? So there's some wiggle room, but I don't want you thinking about that wiggle room. Does that make sense? I don't want you thinking about the wiggle room, but there's built-in wiggle room. So I need you to try to do it as perfect as you can. It's powerful enough that if you're messing up without knowing it, you'll do all right. But what happens is a little leaven leaveneth the lump, the little foxes spoil the vines, and before that, you're right back to doing like you used to do. So a perfect day is the following. We want to drink our water. I need a half a gallon up to a gallon of water every day. We don't use that hard to remember formula, this many ounces per this much pound of body weight or lean tissue. Half a gallon to a gallon of water for most people. You'll adjust that as you go. Water in, fat out. Water in, poop out. We need water to stay hydrated for all those chemical messengers that help us burn fat to be able to talk to each other. If all your cells are dehydrated, then you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle efficiently burning fat. You won't stop burning fat, but it'll be harder. So got to drink our water. Journal. We asked y'all a week ago to work on your why. I know Cindy did. Did anybody else work on it? And then you got to journal. I've never known a single person to lose substantial amounts of weight and then keep all of that weight off without a journal. If you bite it, you write it, you hog it, you log it, you nibble it, you scribble it, you drink it, you ink it. You've got to have a journal. That creates awareness, and you will discover those emotional triggers. How many of you, be honest, how many of you, if you're using your digital journal, you just put holiday and you don't put any of your foods? If you're using a paper journal, if you have a holiday, you quit writing and you just do this. We don't learn that way. You got to ask those hard questions. You know, what was I feeling? Well, I went to Red Lobster. I had the Cheddar Bay biscuits. They were so good, instantly gratifying. And then right after that, I felt regret. If I had just focused on my shrimp scampi and my broccoli without the Cheddar Bay biscuits, the meal would have been just as good. And now I wouldn't have lost 2 days in my weight loss journey. Writing those things down creates awareness. Life comes at all of you at such a rapid pace. You'll have that thought, but you won't do anything with that thought. So I would pin that thought down. That's a good practical thought. It's not what we're talking about in the members only, where we're saying all lies are all thoughts all the time. That's a very practical thought to know that that biologically did not help me. And what would I have missed out on if I had avoided that? What can I do differently next time? Then you've got food combinations. If we're talking about a recipe that's in the library, there's thousands of approved recipes. You don't have to worry about that unless you want to. Combinations is not about the processed foods that meet our meal formula or snack formula. Combinations is the heart and the essence of our program, taking all of God's foods in their most natural state and learning to combine them right so that we control insulin. Knowing that I can have a sweet potato, but if I'm trying to lose body fat, it's not good to have it alone. I need to have it with my chicken breast and green beans. Learning those kind of things over time, living this lifestyle will radically change your life. I promise you, I know what I'm telling you to be the facts, but you've got to learn food combining. We can have steak and asparagus on a perfect day. We can have whatever we want on a holiday. We can have steak and asparagus on a perfect day. We can have fish, baked potato, and squash on a perfect day. But we can't have steak and a potato on a perfect day. We'll get in trouble. There are some perfect pairings. Like when you get into the advanced stuff, then we just start looking at protein as a relationship to carbohydrate and fiber. Too much for this class. But we get into, okay, you can, if you reduce the calories, if you have 4 ounces of ribeye, you can have a half a sweet potato if it's important to you. So there's ways to do it. But when we're teaching the beginner stuff, we're just learning straight up food combining. So we learn that to control insulin. Then we've got our portion rule. Portions. Eat up to 3 eating episodes a day. An eating episode is an approved meal, an approved snack, an approved anything you're chewing on. Period. It's an event for most of us. So it's an eating episode. You can have up to 3 eating episodes a day. We're trying to break the habit of grazing. I like to say I can have breakfast for the Father, lunch for the Son, dinner for the Holy Spirit. So I'm reminded this ain't about me all the time. I'm eating and living under the Lord. So everything we do, whether we eat, whether we drink, we're supposed to do it all under the Lord. You might come up with a different mantra for yourself. I don't know. But 3 or less eating episodes with no grazing, again, life is radically going to change. You can have a 4th eating episode, but that's for you. And it's got to be approved. When you've lost a lot of weight, you're going to see you start to plateau at 4 eating episodes, because the average eating episode for most people is going to be 300 plus calories. If you'll do the math, if some of you have done the math with me, about 3,500 calories in a pound, and you have to be in a deficit, you'll see 4 eating episodes for most people, unless it's a big man. It's going to be, you're talking plateau maintenance time. So 3 or less eating episodes, stop the grazing. There are freebies for those that need to graze till they break the habit of grazing. If you're grazing on pickles, that's fine. However, you haven't broken the habit of grazing. Those pickles, I promise you, some of y'all know I'm telling the truth. Those pickles are going to turn into peanuts. You're going to start grazing. Then those peanuts are going to turn into something else. And then the next thing you know, it's a bag of Doritos. So stop the habit of grazing. You don't need that. Then you've got your per eating episode portions. We just use a 6 to 8 inch plate. A 6 to 8 inch plate, or the 2-hand rule. 2-hand rule means put our hands together. Those 2 hands covered that approved sandwich, I'm good to go. Not piled up any thicker than the thickest part of my hand, or I use my portion plate, which I don't have readily available again. Little 6 to 8 inch plate. If you're a calorie person, 0 to 400 calories per episode. That's where we're at for that. Finally, you've got your timing rule. I'm almost done. I know I got to go to that other class. Timing rule, this is simple. 12 to 16 hour fast a day, including sleep. 12 hours is not that hard to get in. We need some time to digest our food. There's 4 phases of digestion. Digestion, depending on what you're digesting, to go through those 4 phases can take anywhere from 8 to 36 hours. So if you're constantly digesting food, How does your body have the energy that it needs to rest, to recover, to replenish? It doesn't. It's like it's kind of like if you could go to the gym, that's good. But if you're working out 10 hours a day and never resting, you'll tear all your tissue up. It won't be able to recover or repair. You're already sore and you're going to work out again. It's not the smartest thing. So we need that fasting time. 12 hours, and what we want to do is work to 16 hours. In other words, if you cut your food off, you quit eating at 6 p.m., then you don't want to eat again till like 10 a.m. So that's what we're working toward. And then always, whatever we do, be thankful. Bless the name of the Lord. Give thanks. Because you will. You'll start listening to those thoughts and you'll be like, I'm starving to death. This isn't fair. Why do they get to eat that and I don't? Just being thankful, remembering how blessed we are to even be able to sit here and eat this little plate of chicken and cabbage or whatever you're eating. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. That's a perfect day. After 2 perfect days, we're in EFB. I'm going to go to that other class, but any quick questions from me before we go? We do these Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. And if you just felt like you're drinking water from a fire hydrant and you didn't learn anything, get involved with those fast track videos. We never turn anybody away because of money. Any questions or comments? The fundamentals. Everybody good? Thank you, Gwen. All right, we'll close out in prayer and then we'll hop over in that other class. Let us know if we can help you. Thank you, Betty. Keep praying for us, and we keep praying that more people feel the unction to become a partner. We sure need you. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in the earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day, Lord, our daily bread, and forgive us of our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. Amen. Thank y'all.